Greetings, JD for Shieldrum Records. Tonight I will talk about the new Reggae Dub Patterns 25 release from Shieldrum Records. So this is a track pack, sample pack, Midi loop pack for all those. So there's a version of the folder for all those with all the audio file and Midi files. And another version of this project as an Ableton project for Ableton 12.2. So in the folder, quickly, you will find your pattern. There's 3 volumes, in fact. Okay, there's volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. Let me show you the image. Okay, so volume 1, 2, and 3, and in each of those volumes, there's one drum beat, one ReggaeDub beat, and one stepper beat. Okay, and in the folder you will have a presentation note, a quick presentation of the pack, and also an audio manual with a few tricks. I share a few user cases I will talk tonight. And also, if you use another DAW and you don't have the Ableton project, you can use this suggestion balance, okay, because you will have to create as many as audio track as you need. And this is just a starting point. This is not definitive balance of levels, but a good starting point. So it's the audio manual, and there's in the Midi manual a few tricks also, and the Midi map. This is in fact the Midi map of the drum used when I programmed the drum for this project. So if you have a different sampler, or you are in a different DAW, or even a hardware sampler or whatever, you can follow this Midi map, and that way you can read the Midi file from the drum with the right sounds. Okay, so this is the Midi manual, and you also got in each of the project, if I remember well, not in that one, yes, here. So I'm in a Ableton project here. In the folder of each track you have 2 folders, no matter if it's for all those pack or Ableton pack, and you have all the audio file in one folder and all the Midi files in second one. And a last info note concerning strictly this track, and you will find inside the tempo, the key I use. That way you can use the key awareness from Ableton to play more easily, and also the chord grid from the track, which can be useful if you want to overdub or play some more complex partition of each instrument. Okay, so those packs are available on Gumroad, JDI Elements Gumroad shop, and you can also get the second track, so the ReggaeDub track from the volume 1, in the Patreon. So if you subscribe to Patreon from level 1 for this month, you can have the second track, and I will use this second track tonight to demonstrate several things we could do if we want. So I will surely precise along my way if I think it's a beginner tip or advanced tip, but normally you could and should follow everything nice. So the tutorial of tonight will be in English, but as I'm French, if there's some French people looking at it, you can ask your question in French. Okay, I think this video will be more cool in English. That way you can stay longer and cover a more wider spectrum of people. And for French people, they also talk English, and as I've got a simple English, this could be All right, okay. So let's go into the ReggaeDub one and see what's in each pack do we have, okay. So for the moment we have the only the audio file. I will open a few MIDI file after. And in those audio file we have a bunch of melodies. So first thing I could say before starting, if you are in another DAW than Ableton, you will have to create some audio tracks, okay? And then go into your folder. For example, here I will take ReggaeDub 1 and go into the audio folder of it. And I guess for the start, you can bring on your page just the rhythm and keep the melody aside and arrange your rhythm and then bring a few melodies after, okay? In this page I prepare for tonight, I already bring all the melody parts, but I will mute them for now. And we will arrange this a bit later. So how does it work? We have some melody parts, we have a mute guitar part, a few tracks for the skunk. So the skunk is this one. Okay. 2 KT track, 1 lead and 1 making the heartbeat. So of course I played everything and programmed everything in all this. Then track with a tom loop, Sina-like tom loop. Then the whole drum separated, also kick, hi-hat, top loop, cymbal and snare toms. And 2 tracks for the bass. The bass, really bass. And the secondary track, mid bass. Okay, quickly, if you want to know how this has been made, past months I filmed 4 live when I was in the making, from the beginning until past week, and then I finished the project and perfected it, and it's now available. So they are pretty long live of from 3 to 5 hours, but if you want to discover how they have been built, you can get the videos into the live terms into YouTube. So if we look more closely now to all of those themes, as the last theme I've got also here, but you don't get it, but I already recorded another bass with my bass guitar. So I also use my own pack by using the drums and to record. I recorded this one, just listen a few seconds. So of course I have to mute the other bass if I want to play it. Okay, so this would be the first tip. First, you can do your own overdub, replace any instrument. You have all the information. It's 70 BPM, F minor, and you also have the chords into the folder. By the way, I will keep open that folder for me, because perhaps later we will do some overdub on that track. So Patreon. And I go into the TrackPacks, Volume 1, ReggaeDub 1, okay, F minor and C major. Okay, so the common lang, MIDI lang, not MIDI length, but bar length of each track is 16 bar loop, okay? You can see it at the bottom on the left of the screen. It shows length 16, okay? So 16 bar loop. I left all that silence at the end because this is not only silence but also the tail of the end of the loop. That way, if you need, for example, the end of the cymbal or whatever you may need, you have it here. Okay, so each track has 16 bar loop. Melodies are shorter, they are just a melody riff, and the kettle lead is a 32 bar loop or recording. Okay, so I left it to 32 bars. That way you have the choice of letting it run in loop, or you can go inside and choose your favorite parts to build your track. Okay, so let's go for the first beginner things you can do if you are a beginner and you want to play with dub. You will drop all your audio track in it and select everything until the kettle earth, okay, as the kettle lead is already 32 bar long, okay, and you duplicate all this 3 times, for example. Okay, if I duplicate it 3 times, I get how many times? 3 minutes and 39 seconds. This will be enough. So that way we first have the drum and the bass and everything all way long. Okay. So I will mute all those instruments. So from now we will go at each junction. What I call junction is when I did the copy. Okay, we will talk about here and see what we can do to make it more natural. I will duplicate this last track. I didn't talk about it, but this is my drum MIDI part. Okay, the hi-hat, the kick, etc. And I've loaded on this track the DMX color rack. So you can have the DMX color rack into the Ableton 12.2 project folder, okay? And if you walk into another door, you can get the samples that are in this little drum machine on Shieldrum Records Patreons. Also on Gumroad, I publish, let me show you quickly my Gumroad shop. That way you can see also, by the way, other products I can release. So let's go on the profile. Here you can see the first episode of Reggae Dub Pattern from 1 or 2 years ago. Here it's a verb shaper just for the reverb, with a reverb and a way to shape it. A bass, sampling the bass from the studio, the Tiger bass. 10 drum kits, rack, okay, polyphonic and bell, and this is where you can find the DMX samples and rack. Okay, so this is a rack where I sample the DMX I have for the moment at Shieldrum Records Studio. So it has been sampled on different pitches, okay. In the project, in fact, you have only one pitch, but if you buy this drum rack, you have all the pitch. And some clever way to tune all this and get some decay and pitch on each track, inspired by the mod, okay. And a few presets. So out of that, I've got also other instruments. For example, I have some effects. These are some 15 or 16 easy effect rack. A dub siren, a dub preamp. You can find also the demonstration on my YouTube channel. And it is quite interesting if you want to mix some dub selection, playing vinyls or waves, and get it into filters and effects. But also, if you are a producer, all the racks are independent in this project, and you can get the racks of EQ, parametric EQ, 10-band EQ, echo, reverb, etc., and use them in your own project. And then at the bottom, the 3 volumes of each Reggae Dub pattern pack, as audio and MIDI track pack for all those, and as Ableton project. So, okay, this was a little auto promotion. So let's listen quickly to that DMX. Okay, so this is exactly the same partition that is played here, but with a drum machine style sound. Okay, so what is interesting with this is that you can remaster the totality of your drum, or why not double your drum. For example, we could have the acoustic drum like this and double its sound with a DMX of the same partition. If I remove the DMX, listen. Okay, so I thought about that because this is a technique I use here from time to time. Sometimes the acoustic drums, they sound very well, they have a good dynamic, they have everything, but they lose of that modern fullness in the sound. Okay. Of course, we can achieve this by processing all the sounds with some EQ and saturation and things like that. But also we can duplicate the total drum partition with some chosen samples. Okay, so by the way, if even the DMX don't suit you, you just have to click on each pad. For example, we are at the kick pad here, and then you click on the sampler of the kick pad, and you will choose your own sample and drop it directly into the sampler. So it's better to drop it directly on the sampler, that way all of this variation and knobs will still function. If you drop your sample on the seal here, on the pad, it will remove some of the mappings I did into the rack for it to function. Okay, so don't forget, if you want to change the samples to fit to the MIDI files, drop your new sample in the sampler. Okay. And to finish quickly on that drum part with this drum machine, I've set several preset, quick variation preset by randomization of this machine. So let's just listen to this. So the default sound, this is like same as a drum machine by default. Then a Shieldrum Records choice is my own tuning of it. So the difference between this and this is just done by tweaking the decay and a few pitch knobs. If you can see all the knobs moving, okay. And of course a few variations to inspire you to that, how can I tell this? That the drum machine can be used to duplicate exactly what you want, but also by pitching it, you will focus on some instruments. And as you use it as a doubling loop, it can be interesting. For example, some pitching like this. Or like this. In that one, we have the hi-hat in front. In that one, these are the shakers. And if we add it with the original drum, I will come back to default. My choice. Here we hear, yes, the cabasa and everything a bit louder. We hear the hi-hat louder. Here we have the kick in focus. So you see, just with a few tweaks and a good set of samples on the right place, you can do already amazing things. So what could I say to end on that one? Yes, if you are on another DAW, perhaps you can get the inspiration from this, like setting your sampler with the right place for the samples. And then if you can rack it or add some macro or generate some randomization and save those as preset, do all this, because quickly we can change the face of the drum of a track with this kind of thing. Let's just add a randomization here. I will keep that one and I save it new. Okay, so let's duplicate it also. And after those 10 minutes in the Midi and promotion, let's go into all the intersection of the copy. So first you can look for the cymbal track. As you see here at the end of the break, the cymbal is cut. Okay, because I selected 16 bar loop. So first you can take the cymbal and give it its original length. That way, okay, sounds more natural. You will do the same for all the cymbals. So for the moment I duplicate 4 times, I leave the drum roll at the same place, but it's just to ease up my task. I will edit it more in this a bit later. Then we can look on the other tracks like bass, or we can see that for the kick, hi-hats, that's okay. For the top loop also. For the snare drum, if you love the detail, for example, if I zoom here, we can see that we can get back the tail of that drum because I've set a little room reverb on my drum. Okay, so if it was just after the copy like this, yes, it stopped unnaturally. So don't forget to go at intersection and recover the tails of the sounds. Okay, we can do this also on the tom loop. So everywhere where you see a sound, when you zoom, it's like cut and not fade out. You need to extend it. On that one, this was not the case, but yeah, generally this is the case. Okay, and okay, we are right for the drums. So now we can also duplicate the whole kettle section. So same way, first you will duplicate widely and then you will go inside and see what you want to modify. So let's go now on the next section, the skank section. So quickly for the skank section, for organ, I will do the same as I did for the drum. And why? Because when I zoom in and I loop, you see for the organ partition, there's no tail. So we can just do as we did for the drum. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, it's okay. And by the way, let's just finish all the other intersection of the drums. That way it will be done and not forget. So we got the snare. the tom section, and I think that's all. We already did the cymbal. So it's just a few tweaks. Snare and tom roll. I talk about this because in the 3 volumes, so 9 track, perhaps the partition is slightly different, and the most obvious will be the cymbal to recover the tail, but you can look everywhere if you have a few tweaks to do. So now for the organ, we did it. After the organ, the next section of the skunk are piano, a synth, and a melodica. And they all start at the same place. If we zoom in, we see that they start at 8th note, as always in reggae. So let me show you the end now and zoom. If we zoom in, I prepare the reverb tail for the keyboard if we want that reverb. So we see that that reverb is 1/8 after the end of the measure, that is here, okay? So what we will do for all the skunk, we will not cut on the first bar, but we will cut 1/8 after, okay? So I cut the end like this, and I will do the same at the beginning. That way, no matter how long is the tail of each skunk, I will not lose them in the copy. Okay, so from here we can have it lying on the bottom left of the screen, and we see 16 bar. Just the difference is we are starting from the 8th note. And that way we don't lose the tail of our skunk piano. So all this first part, all this arrangement part like this is not the only way to use that pack. But I'm talking of this at the beginning because for me it's what would do a beginner first. Imagine you just know how to play a single instrument like melodica or keyboard, and you just need a rhythm to play your melodies. So you will go straight to the point like this, okay? Then we can go on the mute guitar, which is quite the same partition as the bass, but in mute guitar. Not exactly the same partition, okay? There's a few rolling notes added in it. So I just put the bass and that mute guitar, that way you will hear. Okay, so for the mute guitar, let me zoom in. For the mute guitar, you will do, as for the drum, select 16 bar. Because even if there is a little tail here, the first note is coming at the beginning of the bar. So we don't care about the tail for the copy. 3, and we recover the tail for the last part. So generally for dubs, you will look to have some of your stems to play all way long. That way, when you will manipulate your desk, you can structure on the spot with your desk. So I will not go into deeper arrangement for all this. I mean, when I want the piano to cut or the mute guitar or whatever, because this is for a next dub. But if you don't mix live, this is when you will go inside and create a structure and mute the mute guitar from time to time, or the skunk piano, etc. So let's duplicate the rest. We have a pad track. Okay, same way for the pad track, select 16 bar. And then like this. For the pads, not necessary, but you can do it. I see that at the beginning of the loop, as this is the first press on the keyboard, we have a little fade in. because there's always a slow attack on pads. So what you can do, you can zoom to 164 and cross over them of 164 length. This will be enough to recover the level. So I do this quickly on each intersection. Okay, so that's right for that. Same way all this can be arranged, but I leave it to you for now. And for the melody, according to the structure of your music. Okay, so let's say according to this. You will choose when each melody will hit. Of course, you're not obliged to use all of them. There's a roots melody with a melodica. So these are two melodica recording playing together. And the second loop of melodica is that one. More like some punch, okay? As second melody, we have a couple group, as I would say. This is not the harp. Let's talk about the harp. This is also a couple. So the harp is that sound. In each track, I added something like that. Okay, and I have one high version and one low version. So here in my case, I choose to make them play together. Okay, so this will be a kind of riff I need when I want to reintroduce another melody. As you see, this one is introducing that next melody, and that next melody is also a couple of instruments. So there's a piano melodic for the attack and a strings melody for the decay of the sound and the color also. So let me put the little riff, then you see how it introduces the next. And the second riff of that last couple of melody. Okay, so as you hear, in every scent I left most of the effect I put originally because they began part of the sounds and I didn't want to remove them. But the two ways, if you want to remove some of the effects, or you will find the MIDI track of this Melo String 70, Melo String 170 into your folder. So I can access my folder in my browser. And I will look for the same name, RAD for ReggaeDub 1, 10 Melo String 1. So RAD, ReggaeDub 1, Melo String 1. And I could have this MIDI track playing the same melody with another sound. And on that other sound, I can play strings but with less effects. Okay, we can do a quick demonstration of this. So I add a MIDI track, I drop that same melody on it. So this is the melody string, and I will look for another sound. So quickly going to the chord M1 to ease up my task. Okay, so in your fave synth, you will choose one of your fave sound. By the way, we are not obliged to take another string. We can take something else like woodwind something. Let's say we go with that one. And for example, I like the sound, but it's too high, so I will go into the Midi part simply, just selecting everything and breaking down of 1 octave. Okay, and if I find that there's too much effects, I would go into my effects section of this synth and remove a few of them. Okay, but personally, I find it great to leave a bit of room out of that flute, around that flute. And then my last operation on this would be to rebalance all the group if I want them to play together. Okay. So you get the idea. I will reset this to the original balance, mute that synth for now. So it's just an idea, for example, instead of make this mellow string come again and again in a track, you can from time to time make the flute play on as a synth. So this is all the utility of having also the MIDI parts of those projects. So to go more easy, I will first choose the structure for the melodies with the audio samples, and after that I will choose in which place I want it to be played by the flute. Okay, and before going too far, let's go back into the MIDI file, and we will set also the second MIDI part that goes with the second string riff. Okay. And drop it from 1 octave. So from now, for the structure of the melody, you have two solutions. If it's for a song, I would recommend to add no melody out of the pads and perhaps one riff at the intro, but leaving everything blank for the singer to build his own structure. Okay, but if you work with a singer and you know what kind of structure you like, you can add a few melody here and there. Okay, so to sequence that, I will mute all the drums. And we could say we can start by that. Let's say for the start of the track, we will use that riff, but just two of them, like this. Okay, and by the way, we can also structure the drum here. Let's say this is the intro of the track. We will build a quick intro on that. So to build the quick intro, we can get the drum roll from the track. So go just into the drums and select it until the end of the loop. Then I will bring it in front of my track. Okay. Okay, I have this. So perhaps I can set it right here. Even later. Okay. Give back the tail of the cymbal, and now we go. Okay, and let's say after the first break during that riff, we will remove the bass and let the bass drop a bit later. Okay, so until 117. Okay, now we have our intro, and what we will do is to change a bit that roll at the intro. Or why not? No, we will leave it like this at the intro, but we will change it because I want to add it at the end of those riffs. Like to give the warning to the singer or the lead melody that this is time to come. So we will go very simple. Sometimes we even don't need roll. We have a snare here, the last snare of the measure. Okay. So we will take that cymbal and bring it to that snare. If we want to make it a little bit different than the other, we can just select it and detune it, or even bring it one semitone above, like this. Just one will be okay, like this. Okay, and the last thing you can do when you make a drum roll, if you want really to create a break, we call this also break or drum roll, you can mute all the other track, meaning there's, so we can mute the hi-hats, the kick, until the first bar, the next bar. So let's, yes, we will cut everything like this. So you mute kick and the residue of hi-hats, and we can mute also that ghost snare. Okay, that way you will hear really a gap at this moment. And if we want really to make it even more gappy or more obvious gap, we will go into the other track of the track and think in that way that all musicians, when they hear the cymbal, they stop to play until the beginning of the next bar. Okay, so all musicians, we will keep just tom loop. No, let's say all musicians really. So tom loop will not play here, just one time. Then the KT art, same way. Let me zoom, that way you see better. So the KT mute one time. It's just a little thing, but sometimes it's just enough doing this. So let me erase the cymbal. Okay, so cymbal is here. Let's mute also the lead kete. Okay, and now all the skunk. So same way, to keep the tail of the last skunk, we'll select it here. Okay, and mute also the mute guitar. So this is just one idea in many, but this is how you can really make it like you are the drummer and you choose really to stop everything like a silence at the end. So let me rewind from the beginning, that way you can hear what happened at the end of that riff. Now the beginning of the track I've also moved. Perhaps I can remove the tom loop from the intro. Perhaps the open hi-hat from the beginning. Oh, it was great. Leave it. Yes, greeting everyone in the chat room. Let's follow. And to have a more defined gap here, we will mute the first part of the pads. So for the moment it seems empty. It's empty, really empty. But you have to think like in chest. You are preparing something to be dubbed. So each time you will come to that kind of silence, you can choose to echo it, reverb it, or whatever, exploding it or not. And but yeah, this is now we know we get into the track, and the bass is in after that cymbal. So perhaps the last thing, I will remove that one. And we just need to remove also the organ. I will leave the lead kete in it. Yes. So this can be an idea of arrangement, muting everything but one. That way there's a kind of more power when everything drops. We will leave the next measure free. That way we can hear the mute guitar and the pads and things like that. After that, the little harps. And I will drop them in level. That way I locate them in the back of the mix. We will keep all that melody for later. Now add that one. Same way, just two. And we'll set those melody after that. So as I have no vocal here, I'm using melody to kind of structure what is happening in the melody side of the track. But obviously, if we talk about dub, generally they will help you to give some emotion into the dub mix, but most of the time this is drum and bass and percussion that will play. But yeah, it's a versatile project. We can drop slightly the level of this group. So I select the 2 and I'll reduce 1 from 3 dB, and it will remove also 3 dB from the other one selected. Keep that for the next one. Here we will leave those 2 free and add something here. Why not that one? And then we go right into that one. And all that melody will bring them at the end. Perhaps here we can add the harps at the same time as the little little punch, melodica punch. Let's listen the 2 alone. That way we see if they go together. It seems to work. Okay, this will work like that. So, of course, for now, there's no process, there's no effect or EQ on no track. We just focus on the arrangement. Okay, so out of that, we'll go into the second melody riff. And here, for example, I love the riff, but I think it's coming too quick to that conclusion here. Okay, so what I will do, I will cut in between, like this, and duplicate the first part. That way we'll have those 2 bars of like suspense before the real riff is coming. And what we can do also is to make the additional flute additional flute, we will make it play just at the second row here and at the second row here. So don't be afraid to cut inside without saving, because you can at every time go back into your folder and reopen one of those. Okay. So let's see how it goes now. And we can even duplicate it. So I add back the flute. Okay, and from here we can add this one. And we will add them with those melodic punch. Can leave the 4 for that place, and we will end on that first melody here. Perhaps we can, as it is the end, let's go like this. Not here. Okay, so quickly, this is how I would structure all this. Okay, let's set it a different color as it is a MIDI part. Okay, so it takes like half an hour or 20 minutes just to structure. So if you are a beginner, you just want to make some overdub, play over it, or have some stems to mix the dub. This is the minimum you could do, okay? On the next, you can add another instrument, as I did for the bass, so each of those sounds can sound with some other timbre with the MIDI tracks and other instruments. And so now we'll talk about some kind of edition that can be useful in it. So I will leave the track play for 3 minutes all the way long. That way we get a wider picture of it. And I come back in 3 minutes to go into precise edition. Let's hit the save button also. Okay, let's go. So, okay. So I was listening also in the background, and I think everything goes well together. But if we want the listeners to focus on specific parts, we will have to remove some of it. We'll see along the night how it goes. First, I would say the lead kete, we can mute it. Because I play all the way long like this. Let me listen only that. I play it all the way long, and the idea was to have something new each time, okay? So this kete part can be useful if we go check some loop in it to reinforce the drum, or keep it for the drum part, or a secondary mix. Because with all those tracks now, whether you play it with the MIDI and your sounds or with the audio, you can have several combinations. For example, with the same track, you can have a rhythm track. The rhythm track, for example, will be everything but all the melodies. Okay. So I take all the melodies, mute them, and this would be the rhythm track. Okay, and in another track I could focus on just the melody, and in another track I could remove everything like this and leave the kete with the drums. Okay, so it's just to give you the vision that when you have one track with a lot of ideas in it, you can declinate it or have several versions that will focus on specific part of your composition. So this is why there's so much thing. The only part I simplified to the most is the skunk part. So just listen quickly to tell you where I'm on. Okay, so I left it playing just the 8th note with the organ, playing 16th note. Okay, and that way you can use the little note in the folder. I opened it earlier. So with each track, as I was saying, you can find some little info in the track folder. And here we have the chord structure. So you know which chord to play, you know which melodic note you can play, F harmonic minor or F minor. This one is harmonic minor for that track. And replay those parts by adding some complement with the right hand, for example, and like personalize it. I thought that if those parts were too complicated for people who want to build a rhythm, this would be too define the way the piano or the organ will get into the rhythm or add some melody. So that way you are free to use it and to discover some other melody. And the chord structure is quite simple. So let's go on to some edition tips. For example, I hear the piano, and tonight for that track, I think it could be shorter. Okay, I make it in solo. So in some mix, I would like to have it like this, but here I want it a bit more dry. Okay, so you can do that by several ways. The most easy way is to use automation curve from your DAW. So in Ableton, for example, we can go here in the edition of that clip and to draw some envelope, we will need to warp it. So we click on warp. Okay. So we don't change the tempo for now, even if you can do this also. And I will draw here the envelope, the right envelope I want for the tail of my skunk. So for example, I go here in envelope. In envelope, I will choose clip and gain. Okay. And I have those little dot, blue dot here. So the 100% volume and 0% at the bottom. So I will work on just one of them. Okay, that first one. So the next skunk will appear here. By security, instead of putting your dot right on its position, you can set it a bit earlier. I'm at 512 here, so it's okay. It's not that earlier. Okay, so I set one dot here, and I will set one dot at the beginning. There's already one dot. I want all the body of my skunk staying the same at 100%, so I will add one other dot on the whole body of my skunk, and I will drop the level here. So when you want to do this, first go really drastic, and then you will adjust. So I keep a little marge at the beginning because some skunk can come early. So depending on your partition, you will have to follow this. But in all those projects, they are on the grid most of the time, even every time. So let's listen with that gain curve. Okay, that first got the gain curve and the second not. So listen the difference. Okay. So it gives me an idea just for the beginning, because we have a beginning before the drop. Okay, so for this little part here, I will keep just that same drawing and duplicate it all the way along, and that way we'll have our skunk playing open and close at the okay, and the last one will be close also. I find it the last one with this reverb stopping a bit weird. So without it, at the end, we have this. Okay, and with it, and with it, okay, and the wool will give this for the intro. One open and one close. Okay, so this is one of the things you can do, and why it's interesting sometimes when you build your sound to add some effects, as long as you sculpt your effect to not be too long or too short. Here, I really tailored everything, and that way we can't hear the reverb from the previous chord in it. So everything is quite clean, and via automation or gain drawing or whatever, you can add some subtle movement in it. So from that, I will take just the first part of my automation, because I want all the rest of the track, for the moment, to be shortened, as if there's not a lot of reverb on them. So I go on the second clip, because I cut all the others. Oh, I could have thought about it a bit earlier. But yeah, let's go. That way you will get the same manipulation. I will do it for that, and then for that one, and that second one I will duplicate it. The first one I can't duplicate it because it is shorter than all the next one. Okay, so quickly, same way, you warp it, go into envelope, verify its clip, gain, and from there you can even duplicate what you drew in your first clip precisely. Okay, and go into your second clip. And you paste it same place. Okay. And from here, I will select from bar to bar and duplicate that. Control D, hold it. Perhaps it's a bit too short. Let me verify something. No. Okay, let's see. This is our new shape. Control D. I copy it for later and Control D. Okay, we got it. Now I do the same for the next. Envelope, clip, gain, and let's go for the Control D. Control V before, yes. Select the portion and Control D. Up from there, I can duplicate that and give it back its tail. Okay. That way I have a decay on that piano sound that is closer to that little attack synth. That little synth is hidden into the skunk, but really useful. Let me remove it, that way you hear, without and with. Okay, so perhaps it can be lower from a few dB. And with the Melodica skunk, that we don't hear a lot, so let's bring it some level. Okay, so for your skunk section, I would say the thing is to have really 2 sound minimum. Why not 3? I added 3 because I recorded some Melodica on that project. But 2 sound minimum, one focusing on the attack as if it was replacing the guitar skunk, and one on the harmonies like the piano. And when you find the right level of each of them, it will sound as one sound with a powerful attack and some harmonies in the back. Okay, so this is what I would do to shorten the sound of my skunk. Now let's go into the pads. The pads, an idea of edition. Okay, those pads are playing the 2 same chords from the beginning to the end. So to talk about them, I mute all other melody. What we can do is add some animation in this with some effects. So here I'm talking about effect to add some life in your track. Okay, I'm not talking about the effects on the dub setup with the desk, and these are not some effects you will use real time. It's just thinking about how they could behave, how those tracks could behave, and use the computer to help you, as if, for example, we could add a slicer or something like that to add some life in it. Okay? And that way it will be paired. So okay, and when you come to your dub mixing, you are more focused on the general arrangement. So see those kind of effect processing more as sound design and adding life. Okay, so and you are totally free to use whatever you want as long as it serves your track. So for example, I was talking about a slicer. There's a very simple tricks you can do. So in Ableton, it is called Autopan. So perhaps you have an Autopan also in your own DAW if you are not on Ableton. Okay, the trick will be the same, I guess. Let me zoom a bit. That way you see what I'm doing. Okay, so you will open an Autopan and set the Autopan to mono. And on that one, if I bring the amount, I will have this kind of thing. I focus on the pads. Okay, so Autopan will give you some auto panoramic. So already, as I find it great, I will duplicate it. The second one will be a real Autopan, and the first one, we will call it slicer or slicer gate, automatic slicer gate. We will first tune Wise Autopan, so I mute that one. So here this is using the Autopan in traditional way. It's really too wide for now, but that way we can tune it, can change the shape. We'll leave it like that. Yes. And when you get the right speed of your Autopan, you will reduce the amount and bring it back until it's pleasant. Okay, so something like that. Also, the amount of Autopan can be automated, more like that. So we keep this aside for now. Let's go back to the slicer gate now. So when the Autopan is set to 180, when it is set to other value than 0 degree, it will be a stereo effect. But if we bring it into 0 degree at the phase, it will be a mono effect. And instead of going from left to right, it will go on and off. Okay, so with less depth, like this, and more speed, you can have those kind of effects also. Okay, so let's get back to our original slicing. So sure, we'll automate the amount to come into the slicing, but let's set up this slice mode. I will keep it sync to the tempo at 1/2. And to have the whole note, I will crank up the shape. 1 second is too small. Let's go on 1/4. Let's mute all other melodies. So now the idea is great, but it's not synced to my tempo, so we will use the offset for that, I guess. and it's a bit too sharp. Okay, just a few degrees. Just before I was hearing the a little, not click, but the beginning of the next. And here I don't hear it. So this little curve will determine the beginning of a bar. Okay, so you will choose to have your first slice on the first time. For that example, this is how I do it. And when you set it right like this, you can even invert it. So to go quick and not in too much detail, we will just keep that speed, okay? And I will automate all this, putting that into a rack for more easy. We will map the amount and we will call it slicer. And we will map the amount of the autopan and call it autopan. Okay, something like that, and set it in a range. And I'm just thinking about what I could add else to automate and have some special effect on it. We will stay simple. So let's go just with the shortcut. Let's say all this is okay. Bring down the autopan. Now we will choose when the slicer come into the game. Last thing, as you can hear, when we add the slicer, the sound seems to be lower because instead of playing all way long, it comes just in little slice. Okay, so we will add utility in front of this one. And what can I do for that utility? We will use the on-off. On-off or yes, on-off. So I map the on-off to the same knob slicer. Okay. And I set this utility plus 3 dB. The move is what? We go into the mapping. The move is when what I want it to do is when I open the slicer even to the minimum or not, let's say at mid-course, it will add 3 dB. Okay. Oh, excuse me, but we can be more subtle. Let's see it another way. What I will do is map the gain knob. Okay. I map the gain knob of my utility to the slicer knob, and we will call it boost. That way I know what this utility is for. Okay, I can close it, go into the mapping, and now we have the gain added to the slicer normally. Let me see. No, I did it wrong. So remove unmap from gain. I want it to be mapped to slicer. Okay. Now I have the boost. I will set the minimum to 0 simply and maximum to 3. Okay. That way, when I use that slicer knob, the more the slicer effect is intense and the more I will gain some level. And I guess 3 dB at maximum is okay. Okay. If I don't have that boost, with the boost, Yes. So let's play the music, and we will choose to make this come later in the mix. Why not here? So when I find my place, I simply click on the slice knob here, and I want it to be full from here. Can even select that. Boom. And as this is the amount, I can also make it come slowly. Okay, so this is an idea. We can also do this like that and make it come a few times as a suspense, and then leave it on that slice way. So for example, I can duplicate my whole curve until here. That way it will go to the slicing mode during the last riff here. Okay. And on that one, I will leave it until the end of the measure. Let me listen. Okay, I think on that place we could remove the drum roll, but let's leave it for now. Okay. For example, we'll use that drum break to make it stop. Okay. And I will make that come that way on some other places. For example, here. Okay, that way we have some movement on that pad. First movement. Okay, now the second movement, it will be to add some autopan to this. And I barely want to, I don't want to set it to maximum amount. So we will set the maximum to 75. Okay. And now I will click on the autopan. I'm just checking where I want it to open. So let's say I want it to open wide after this crescendo. Okay, so I will click on autopan, set the first point, the second point. Okay, and we will end the autopan one there, but we will leave it a bit at 30%. Okay, the next one is here. So here I will add the same curve to the autopan. So I copy the curve from my slicer knob, and then I click on autopan, and I paste it at the same place. Okay, and I will add that same automation pattern until the end. And the next thing I will automate is the rate from the slicer. And the rate for the autopan. And we will automate a few of them. For example, that one, we can say the second time when it comes, it will go twice faster. Okay, so second time is here. I can select this part. I go into sync rate. And I will bring it to 116. Okay, I must go below. And that way we have that now. Just a few examples to show you, and we will do the same for the autopan. So it's at 2 by default. Okay, so I click back quickly to see where it appears. So here, that's okay for that. Now here. Now the next will be here. So I just add my dots for now. And the last one will be around that place. So for that section, we can go faster. Just a bit faster. One and a half, and let's go crazy for the last part with 1/8. So this is for the autopan, okay? So you see, so what I show you quickly with a simple effect, this is those kind of manipulation and process you can do. So here I just show the slicer gate rack, but whatever you can imagine, just add it. Let's call it slicer pan. Okay, another way you could also impact the pad synth. Just last tip for that can be useful for also other thing. Take a gate, okay, and you choose which of the instrument would trigger the pad, okay, or the opposite. I mean, when another event come, it can play at the same time, but it can play also everywhere else but at this place. I will take for that example the kete. So let's say I choose the kete to be the source of the sidechain gate. Okay, so sidechain, I click on external and I will look for my lead kete and I will set it to post effects and not post mixer. That way, even if it is muted into the mixer, it will send a signal at the input of the gate. Okay, I will mute the slicer pan for you to understand what is happening, and we will call it gate from kete. So it's receiving the kete signal. We can hear it when we click on this telephone. So this is this signal that will open the gate. If I cut the external sidechain, we just have the pads playing all the way long. But with the kete in, and now you have your pads playing the partition of the solo kete. And you can fine-tune this here with the attack and release if you want it short or long. And you can also choose to have no other signal when the floor is minus infinite, or still a bit of it, depending where you set your floor. In this place, you still have the pads and the attack from the kete. So let's say we want it drastic. Let's listen with the rest. So I can choose a place into the arrangement and make this kind of effect come. And let's go for another example. So first let's write it everywhere so it's on for now. Let's set it to off, and we will choose before a drum. Before a drum roll, I wanted to say. So let's say just 4 bar like this on. Okay, I see that we have the same things that earlier, meaning that as the pads are coming from time to time, they need a little boost in the level. Okay, so can I delete automation? Yeah, so I will group this quickly and I will get that utility tips. Okay, and that time as I'm on some switches, I will just set it to plus 3 dB, and we will assign the two on-off of the utility and the gate from Kete to the first macro. Okay, this is a one macro rack. So I show it on the pads because as it is playing all way long. This is the right track for an example, but what I'm explaining here, you can do this on any track you want. You can sidechain gate the bass by the percussion or the skank piano by something else, etc., etc. I will make two examples for tonight. So that the gate from Kete. Okay. Let me double check. I have this done and I can erase that one. And now I will draw the automation for the knob here. Done. Okay. Yes, greetings in the chat room. Selector Henry, welcome. Greetings, Aital. Greetings, Jono Laikonte. Greetings everyone, even those who are not in the chat room. Don't hesitate to ask some question if needed, or some tips or things you need to know in English or in French. So let's add a few of that from place to place. It's just to show you the example. Okay, and the second example of gate cutting, I will duplicate that track. Why? Like this, okay. And the second one with another color, we'll call it butt piano, butt skunk. So for the butt skunk rack, instead of taking the Kete as a source, I will take the piano. Yes, the piano skunk. Okay, as a source of the sidechain trig. So now we get into another. Let me also erase the automation of the knob because it copy-pastes the same as my first rack. Okay, and we will choose a portion where the other gate is not in action. Let's say here. Okay, so same way to tune it, I will. I've already set the piano as source in post effect. Let's listen. We listen to the pad gate sidechain from the skunk. Okay, same way we can choose the length of it. Etc. etc. But here I don't need the pads to play the skunk because they are playing exactly the same chord. But in this case, I want the pads to stop to play each time there's a skunk appearing. So I want totally the opposite of that. Okay. So in the normal world, this would be a compressor, a simple sidechain compressor. But instead of opening a compressor and set the threshold and everything, with that gate, when it's set up clean, you just have to click on the flip option, okay? To have this behavior of sidechain compression to minus infinite, by the way. So in normal mode, it's like that, and then I flip the gate. Okay, so it plays everywhere but where the skunk plays. If I add the skunk in the mix. And from now, I will try to set the release and the threshold of that gate to have it more clean. Now I have the first gate which is opening, so I mute it for now. Okay, so with and without. And as I explained on the first use of the gate, we can bring up the floor if we want to keep some of the pads when the skunk hit. Okay, but here, as I want to use it as a special effect, I will keep it minus infinite, and we will switch on that track from time to time. So let me double check here. Let's say at the output just after the break and set it that length. I click on the knob. Okay. So we can hear a little click because we are on the switch button. So when you hear some click, the best way is to find a good place to write this on-off position. It seems to work well here. Okay, I understand. As this is the piano which is triggering all this, I had to be in a place where I don't hear that switching on or off. So this is the right place here. And what I will do, I will say that I want the piano to interact with the pad after each drum roll. So I duplicate that automation and that's done. So this is how, with a few effects, you can give some life to each of your track. So this was an idea. Perhaps we will bring some other idea later. So for those who are just coming in, I was into making some animation of each tracks to give them some life, and I was focusing on pads. I will not make the demonstration on other tracks, but keep in head that you can do this in other tracks, okay? And here, for example, there's 2 times the autopan, one as a slicer, the other as an autopan, and 2 times the gate, one opening at the same time of the kete and the other stopping playing when the skunk hit. And we can see normally all our automation like this. Okay, we have the slicer, the autopan. We have the sync rate of the slicer. We have the sync rate of the autopan. Okay. And we have the gate 1 opening and the gate 2 opening. So it requires a bit of time. The best way and to keep it fresh, try to get your idea before. Okay, get your idea before, like what I want this to do. And then from there, go and do it quick, like this. Even if you drop it in the wrong place, when you will release a new arrangement, you will know exactly where to set it. But don't go too deep in it, because you will lose yourself and lose the focus on your general track. Tonight it was a bit different because I wanted really to detail the combination of using some simple effects and write some automation on them to prepare and give some animation to the track you will later on dub mix in your DAW or on controllers or wherever. Just give some life. So this was the second example for the live things. The first one was on shortening the skank piano. So just as a recall, what I did, I get into my loop and I redraw the envelope of the tail of the skank. And at the beginning we have this, one open, one close, one open, listen. Okay, until the first break. And then all the way along of the track for the moment is close everywhere. Okay, so now, yes, there's something to talk about. There's a plugin maker called Kilohertz, who bring out a plugin recently, and if you go quick, take note that you can go on their website and get it for free, because it's just out now. And this is like, I guess, the most recent tool and perfect compressor for sidechaining. Okay, it is called Compactor, so it's Kilohertz. Let me find the folder. And as I said, I get it like 4 or 5 days ago. So if you go quick on kilohertz.com, you can get it. So let's put it out. So Compactor is a special compressor which work on samples. The minimum length it can read is sample. So it's compressing the signal, but with the precision of a sample, meaning 44,100 sample per second. So a very, very precise. If I remember well, they were saying that it works like a ring modulator. It's a compressor, but working like a ring modulator. So I will not go deeper on that explanation, but yeah, it can be used as a clipper. It can be used as a perfect sidechain. And I wanted to introduce it tonight also because I use it a lot and it is free. And really, this is one of the free plugins. You don't miss this, really. So let's go on. I will not go into all the detail of presenting it. Go and seek into YouTube. For tonight, just we will go if we want to sidechain the bass by the kick or any other instrument. But I will go simple by the kick. And your home, you can do kick and snare or whatever. Apparently, this is the most perfected kind of sidechaining, really precise. So what you will do is first in the plugin, you will set the sidechain input to input 3 and 4, and this will open the gate for the sidechain input here in your DAW. From here, I will choose kick to go simple. Okay. And then quickly, the attack, in fact, the more you will crank up the attack, and the more the sidechain will start earlier than the hit. Okay, so it's called attacked, but in fact, it will, if I go to 5 milliseconds, it means that it will start to duck out the bass 2.83 milliseconds before the hit of the kick. This plugin got a 10 millisecond latency, so it takes 10 milliseconds to see the music before you hear it. Okay, so attack will be used like that, and the olden release are quite classic. How many time you will hold the sidechain, and how your sidechain will release. And really, you have nothing else to do. I explain quickly, but generally, I set this to 3 milliseconds minimum, and that one also to 3 milliseconds minimum. I don't touch to the hold. I keep it in peak. Apparently, peak is not the same term as peak in a classic compressor. In a classic compressor, peak is meaning the peak level of your transient. Okay, so what is the peak level of a transient? When we have the drum, for example, we have the snare here. Okay, so quickly, I know some beginners will look at that. So the peak transient is really the peak of your sound, okay, into a simple compressor. And the RMS level will be the body of your sound. So I try to, okay, I do a circle, or I can zoom in. So let's say, like this, we are hitting the level of the body of the sound, okay, and at the top peak, we are at the peak level. So in classic compressor, this is what is peak. But in compactor, peak meaning each samples as it works per sample. Okay, just a little explanation. And out of this, you have nothing to tune in. Range is set to 100% by default. So if you want to exaggerate the effect, you will go to 200, and if you want less of that effect, you will go to 0%. Even negative something, no, 0. Okay. Stereo is if you have track content that is very different, left and right. If you crank up stereo to max, it will, like in the background under the hood, duplicate the compactor and have one compactor on the left channel and one other on the right. That way they can face the several moments inside of each channel. Okay, so as it is kicked by sidechain in the bass, you can leave it at 0. And the mix, if you want to bring the effect back. And this is really everything you have to do. Okay, so we will select the kick as a sidechain input, already done, sidechain plus 3 and 4. And let's just play the bass. So the white dot you see is the kick appearing. Okay. So, but I mute the kick, that way we hear what it is doing. If I crank up the hold, so why I love this plugin for sidechaining? Because when I'm sidechaining, generally I'm not looking for the pumping effect. Okay, I'm just looking to have less energy when the kick hits. And this one, when I told you about its working, is let me find back my word. Yes, it is working as a ring modulator way, or in a ring modulator way. So this compactor compressor will ring mode this, I don't know how, but when it will attenuate, it will really attenuate depending on the level of each samples of the kick. So you will achieve with those tuning a really transparent sidechain. So you will use this when you want some sidechaining, but you don't want it to be obvious and pumping. Okay, if you want some pumping presets, you click here and you go into the preset, and they have a few in the factory preset. You see what the machine can do. So instant ducking, clipping, soft clipping, distortion, and ducking type, and as I was saying, ducking, pumping. And I guess that this preset will duck with more release and older. So let's listen again, and I will tweak it, exaggerate it for you to hear it. And we can also drop the threshold if we want it even more. Okay, here we are pumping, definitely. If you set everything to 0, it will react as a distortion because it's too much for it. Okay. So I will take one of my presets, my only preset I built, okay. And so attack to 10, release 3 to 5. And for you to see how it works, let's just bounce the bass for a couple of bars. And so these are the kicks. This is the original bass. So I add an audio track and I assign the input to the bass. Post effect. Okay, let's record. So each time the kick hits, we can hear a little glitch, but this is because I really make it short at the release, okay? And I see that that little glitch is not a problem for me because it's so low in level that when the kicks hit, it's cover it directly. Okay, so I show you the setting first. So at this setting, without even touching the threshold bar, okay. Let's see around the kick. We have this. So above, this is the original bass. So at the same time of the kick, it's full energy. And here, this is the sidechain bass. Okay. If I want this deeper, I will use the threshold and draw down the threshold. But here, you can see in comparison, this little attenuation happened at the same time as the original bass was already at its maximum. So if you take time to do this with this technique, with this free plugin or with some shape leveler or whatever, it will be better. But as in reggae, we are not looking for pumping. We have to find some really sharp tool to do it. And so yes, so a big up to the kilohertz for this free plugin because yeah. Here we can see also original bass and the new one. So I will make a second example with it with more threshold. try to open this to 5. So if you don't trust that much your ears, it's normal at the beginning because it's so small in time that we can't even hear it. You can do something. Find, for the moment I'm bouncing here. So let's bounce it again. I will show you after. So second test with more threshold and more release. And I will draw back the attack. Yes, to 5 ms, even 3. No matter the glitch. Okay, and the threshold to -3, something like that. Of course, your threshold, you will take it from your kick, level of your kick. So depending on the body of your kick, you will choose something between 0 and -6 dB. Let's save this to the same name. Okay. And let's bounce it. Let's bounce it. Okay, and as you can see here, original bass, start note, very full, and that one with that special compressor, quite clean. And you see it's so clean that it's just the length of the kick. And it will emulate that your bassist is really a good one and can play just a few milliseconds after the kick hits. Okay, so we have this little artifact here. As I said, this is really nothing when the kick hits. Okay. And if you want to have it clean and don't hear this little click, in case you want so sharp sidechaining, just add sometimes just an EQ. After that, we'll do the trick. Let's listen only the bass with that click. So as this is the sub bass, you can low pass it like this. We still hear it, but this will be enough for it to be even more discreet. Without the EQ. So here we are losing a bit of the harmonic, so I will cool down the filter. Okay, so it was a tip in the tips. So the other way, instead of, how can I tell it? Instead of bouncing to see if it did a great job, what you can do is to find a spectral analyzer or a wave analyzer. I know in Shipperbox, for whichever of those modules you buy for 20, you will have the whole box with the compressor and this oscilloscope. So it's called oscilloscope. And what I will do in this oscilloscope, as most of the oscilloscope also have a sidechain channel, I will put the kick into the sidechain channel. That way I will see display my bass in one color and the kick in another one. Okay. And from there, I will zoom in. Okay, and I can set it to audio, that way I will see it at each hit. I will see it at each hit. And I don't want to work like that, but okay, I have to put audio and tell it to get the sidechain. Okay, and that way you can remove the shape of the sidechain and see exactly what your compressor or whatever device you are using to do your sidechain, what it is doing while the kick is happening. Okay, and from there you will go into your compressor or the device or compactor and tune it. So this is how I learn all this plugin function. So I set it like that. I show off the kick and tweaking and looking at it. Okay, let's go back. As we see, 10 ms is not too much. Let's go deeper. What is happening? Okay, I totally cut the note. Because when you are sidechaining, it will take the body of the kick. And here, when we are at minus 60, we are more than in a body and RMS power of the kick. So it removes more piece of bass. Let's set it back to 0. So if you want a natural sidechain without any clip and just a little dip in the power at the start of your bass, just leave it by default. If I add some release, you see the note is more round, and if you want more close to pumping, draw back the threshold. So I know everyone already know this for a long time, but let's say it will be for those who don't know it. And also, it's always good to repeat some concept. So I didn't test this yet into saturation or clipping, but should be great. Kilohertz plugin are very great. Okay, so this is another way to process some of your tracks. Of course, you can add some echo automation, reverb automation, or whatever automation. So now let's go on the third layer of all this. What can we do else with this? We can open some other MIDI tracks. Yes, for example, we will go into the overdub topic. So let's say as the skunk section is really clean, okay, I will add a piano, another piano. So I take this classic one, that way I don't fall into a gap of finding the right piano. Let's go into program, browser, piano, and the first one. The original one sounds like that. And that one. Perhaps I will remove a bit of the effects on it. No stereo, perhaps that reverb but shorter. Okay, this will do the trick. And I will play in real time another part of piano, but with more improvisation on the right hand, trying to follow the arrangement. So just an example, I don't think I will play all way long, but yeah. So I will add the pads, my mute guitar. I can remove the original piano just for now and mute the KT. And F minor and C major. Okay, I have the two here. So I set a MIDI clip that way. Perhaps you can follow the take on the screen below here. So what I will do, I will use the same two chords and play a piano line and try to improvise on the right hand. Perhaps I will leave melodica and piano. Let's go for that. So yes, like that, this is an example. So the take that required more precision, but you get the idea here, trying to add some different melody in it. little mistake here. Okay, we will not spend time to quantize that. It was for the example. Okay, so we see the arrangement possibilities, a few tips of animate each of the tracks. Now we can go into the last part, meaning let's make a different track from that track. So, okay, let's go for that last part. So I will make some room in all this. So the easiest way is to select a portion and Ctrl-Shift-D will duplicate all this time portion. Ctrl-Shift-D, okay. And let's call it variation. Now we get into the more advanced thing, because we'll try to build a totally new rhythm from that. So to simplify things, we will just keep the intro break. Okay. We will keep just this first part and erase everything else. Okay, something like that. I will bring back the KT and details later. Can even erase it. I will add a new marker, variation. Okay, so I erased a bit too much because I also erased the melodies up there. No problem, let's get rid of all the melodies and we will build some new things. So just from that one, we can also remove this kind of break here. And we will work the idea on this small portion. So my idea was to restructure simply. I mean, the first way to flip a rhythm or flip some samples is to use what is inside and recompose it with what is already inside. So we leave the symbols as they are. Let me check what I'm doing. Yes, that's okay, that's okay. Okay, for the symbols. Okay. So for that, I will gather every melodic part on the same. Okay, on the same side, that way I can have a better vision. Okay, so the idea I got here is the chord structure for now is this. Okay, by the way, I will modify my envelope here. Clip. Something like that. And paste it all the way along to shorten my skunk piano. Okay. So to do that, we will select all the melody parts. I remove the other melody for now because it will be easier. So let's focus until the pads here. Okay, so now let's see, instead of making this structure 2-2, we will try to go on the structure of, let's say 3-1, 3 of the first chord and 1 of the last chord. Okay, so first, what can we do? We will select just until after the second chord. Okay, just this part. Loop it, Ctrl L, and select the loop above. Okay, and now press 0 2 times, and it will slice all of that. Okay, so we have those 2-1. Let's say we will do 6 and 2. Okay, so I will duplicate time on this for 5 times. Okay, so all this portion I selected here. So to duplicate time, Control Shift D, 1. Yes, that's a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time, like this. And normally my new loop will stop here. Let's listen just the melodica and piano. Okay, so this will be the new chord structure. Now listen to the mute guitar. Okay. I see on some of them I can get back the tail, so I will do it for it to sound more natural. Okay. And we can change a bit the partition of the mute guitar, remove this one time, leave it one time, remove it the second time. Let's listen. Okay. So for all of this, that's okay. I know I will cut this chord structure here because later I will duplicate this. So I can mute the rest for now. Okay, so for the organ, that's okay. Let's listen with the bass. Okay, that's okay too. So now I see that I duplicate also the drums, but I didn't want to duplicate all that drum. So what I will do, the last copy is here. So I will take back the whole drum tracks. Okay, like this. And I will bring it back to the starting point here. Okay. Because in fact, I want to keep the, let me do this again. I want to keep the 16 bar loop with the drum roll at the end, okay? So I'm just rebuilding the melodic part, but I want my drum to stay the same length as the original. So like this, we should be okay here. Let's listen with the drum. Okay, it worked pretty good. Cymbal. And perhaps we can change also quickly the drum intro. For example, like this. And removing the tom. Okay, just to have some ideas. Perhaps you can go like that. Okay, so let's say that this is the structure we want. So from now we will bounce the first part. Let me check. We have a 8-bar loop here, a 2-bar loop. So let's stay on that 2-bar loop for the example. So I know the pads can be bounced like that. So I select everything, Control J, mute guitar same way. Okay. For the skunk, I left them at 1/8 notes, still 2, okay, so bounce all of that at the same time. Let's see quickly for the organ. Organ will stop there. Okay, so I don't go into detail, but you get the idea of recomposing a track with it. Okay, and we have our new bass. And as it is a variation, now I can remove all the rest, what I don't use. Perhaps I will keep the tail of everyone, because when I bounce that, I didn't keep the last tail. Okay, so I select everything like that. So this is already bounced. Yes, so I select everything. I get back my tail. And I remove everything else. Okay. Okay, let's listen. I know the kete will go for long. So it seems I missed something somewhere, so let me check. So the 16 is until the end. So all my drum are too early. Not that place. That one. Okay. I set everything at the same start point. And now it seems that it's too short. I made a little mistake somewhere. So should be able to fix that quick. Okay, so the next drop is here. Okay, and let's see if I still have. No, so we will go the easiest way. Taking all that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're good. Okay, just fixing that little double cymbal hit. And now, same way, I will duplicate everything. Okay, and from here I get back the original loop. So this was a short example to show you how you can rearrange the whole and give it yes, make another track from the same one. And you can even go deeper. How can we make it? I've got everything set with my tail. So once you prepared your first 16 bar loop, so that one, okay. The good idea could be to bounce that first. Yeah, let's go even deeper. Now what we will try to do is to bounce that new track, and we will try to pitch it up or down, and also change its BPM. Okay, so we get on the next layer of complexity or modification. So I will leave it play a while in loop. I just take a little break and I'm back, and I will show you how to make this play on another scale simply. Okay, this is a 16 bar with the drum break. Okay, give me a minute, I'm back. Okay, so what I will show now is a good thing to do before the biggest structure of your track, because it's not a big deal, but it's good to know. As we will use some warping algorithm for it to be able to pitch correctly. First, to bounce them, we'll make all this a same entity for each track, a new same entity. And secondary, it will be it will take a bit more CPU because this will be warped. So the idea here is to bounce the first time. Then we will choose the new scale and then the new tempo. Why not? When we get the new scale and the new tempo, from there, we will bounce that first loop and then do our structure on a more longer part. Okay, I will change that color. So I'm just demonstrating since 2 hours and a bit more on the same track, and this track is the second track from the volume 1, which get one drop, a ReggaeDub, and a stepper. Okay, and the second track, the whole stems, loops, and MIDI parts are available for any Patreon subscriber from level 1, like for free as a reward. And but all what I explained tonight, you have 3 volumes, and each volume you have 3 tracks. So imagine the number of possibility. I didn't talk about it, but don't miss it, as all the tracks has been composed in F minor scale. Just one of them is in F harmonic minor. It means that the more you have some volume or track packs, the more you can take also one melody from one track and try to bring it into another one, or change the drums, or change whatever part, or some bass note, or even the total structure, meaning you could take the 2 first chords from one track and find 2 other chords and bass and melodies from another track and make a totally new structure. All the chords used on the 9 tracks composing the 3 volumes are all made from the same scale, okay? F minor scale. So obviously we have 8 chords in one scale, and they cover pretty all the chords of that scale. Meaning, if you look closely to also the paper information I bring with the chord grids of each track, you can make your own library of chords and bass note and melody note, etc. in F minor scale, and prepare your personalized sample pack if you wish. Okay, so it has to be said. So let's go back to where I was. First, we will bounce everything. I remove this second bass because I don't need it here. Okay, and I will bounce also the MIDI. Okay, so now everything is a new track, and we will choose first to change the tempo. So for now it's at 70 BPM, and you will have to enter the tempo map, but it's quite simple. First you will click on A for automation, or click here, okay, and open the main track. And in the main track you should find in mixer, second box, song tempo. Okay, so to ease up your task, type 70 at the bottom if you want a tempo, upper tempo. Okay, that way I know the original tempo is at the bottom of that page. And let's say I want to go to 73 BPM. Okay, so the original BPM is this. And 70 BPM, 73. What I will do, like this. I will select this dummy clip. This is a fake MIDI clip, completely empty, just for the title, and select a specific length. So I select this, and I know now from ear to ear the length of my track. I want it to play at 73 BPM. Okay, so a bit earlier, that way Ableton get it. And just double check that each of your track have been warped, but generally when you boot something, it will warp it. So here everything is warped at 70 BPM. Okay, you can see it here. So everything is warped. Maintenant, now we can just select this portion and bring it to another BPM. So I just play at the same BPM for now. $70 and now 73. So 70. Or 73. Okay, I have a little mistake because I forgot the kete. So let's do this to the kete also. For now, let me double check. Kete should start here. Okay. And for the kete also, as I didn't bounce it, I want to keep the whole length of it. I just select it and I click warp. Okay, and before I warp it, sorry for that, I will set everything back to 70. Okay, no, 70, it went too far. Let's do it dot by dot, yes. Because if we use the other option with the little square selection, let me show you, this is what I call the square selection. If you go by that and you drop this down, it can go out of the limit of that 70, out of the screen. But this is not what I want. We want to go fixed back to 70. Okay, all those ones have been warped at 70, so I will do the same for my kete lead. Now I can switch it on and it's warped at 70. And from there, now I go back to my selection, the length of my track, and I bring everyone to 73 properly. Let's listen again. Okay, so first step is done. We changed the tempo. Now we will choose different algorithms depending on the tracks to optimize. Meaning, in the warping mode, when I take one track, which have been warped, you see that it is warp, meaning it fits to the tempo, and we can change its tempo. And we have several algorithms. So the first one, generally you will take that one, is called beat, and we will use that algorithm for all the drums and all the percussions and the kete drum. Okay, why? Because the beat mode really will play faster those slices, but without modifying the transient of the drum. And it's important for drum, even if we pitch or change the tempo. Okay, and now for some other one, we will, for example, for bass, we will set it to another algorithm. So I use two of them, or beat or complex. Okay, complex pro is more for vocals. The other one are quite experimental. So beats for all what is drum and very transient like sound. Like we will see that our skunk can be left in beats mode. Okay, but for bass, melody, and everything but drum, put it in complex. Okay, so I select the two bass track at the same time, and I select complex. Okay, I know the skunk even if it's melodic. Let me zoom a bit on it. Even if it's melodic, the transients are very defined. Okay, you can see it in the piano, organ, and the little synth. So those first one, and the organ here. So for those three, we will leave it to beats. Okay, and the melodica part, which is a bit more complex and can come a bit earlier than the time, etc., we will set it to complex also, as same for the pads. Okay, so complex is more for musical content and tonal content. And the mute guitar, as it's really transient like, we don't need to change, I guess. Let's double check quickly. Yes, it seems that it's okay. Perhaps I will do it also because I want to keep that little burst of noise before the guitar hit. So we'll set it to complex also. Now each of our track, depending of its nature, got the right algorithm. And we play at 73 BPM. So to show you quickly that we don't lose in quality, or a little, we obviously lose a little because it's not the original file, but Ableton do really a great job. The first track, and the second track at another tempo with the same source. So if you want to start to hear some glitch or whatever, you will have to really go to some upper tempo. But as long as you keep like 20 above or 30, yes, 20 tempo point. Let's try just for the experimentation to type something crazy like that, and bring that level, that tempo up at 98. We can hear that we keep the quality, but musically it's too much, depending on the composition. Let's try 85. Okay, so this is the way you will do to change the tempo of your sources. Let's go back to our 73. So this was the first thing, changing the tempo. And now let's change the tonality of that track. And it will be very, very simple. We will select only the melodic part. Okay, so we can select the tracks. So you double click on one to make this display appear. And then select all the melodic part. Okay, here we see that we have selected 8 samples of the same length. And we have different warping mode between beat warp mode and complex warp mode. This is why we have a little star. And from here we will choose we'll choose how many we will pitch it up or down. So we know we are in F minor, and let's say we will play it in G sharp minor. So we are in F. I click on the pitch box here. This is this one. This is the pitch in semitone, and that one is fine. So you click on the left box. We are in F, so it makes F, F sharp, G, G sharp. So from there, all the melodic parts are shifted to 3 semitone above, and it will sound as a G sharp. So as you see, my explanation was longer than the simplicity of doing it. But there's several steps, and if you are not used to do this kind of manipulation, it is great to have it well detailed. Okay? And so now we have our new track, we have our new tempo, our new scale. So let's also name the scale in that dummy MIDI track. So I always have a MIDI track empty, and I just draw some empty MIDI track to write down some information. So we will write that this one is ReggaeDub variation, and we will type the key G, G sharp minor. Okay, and for those who wish to find back the chords, the new chords that are played actually, in the folder of your stems, so not that one, B, okay. The release. So in the folder of your stems, here it's ReggaeDub 1. As I said earlier, we have the chord structure. Okay, so it is simply as we know that we have bring this 3 semitone above, it means that the new structure will be F plus 3 semitone. It means G sharp, okay, G sharp minor will be played. And the second chord will be C plus 3 semitone, so C, C sharp, D, and the second chord will be D major. Okay, so easy as that. you to really hear the difference. This was the track source in F minor. And this is the new track built and set in a new scale. So of course it's up to you then to build some new bass or build some new things instead of keeping the same. But yeah, it's just to show you that even when you keep the same things, you can bring something different. I make the edition really in a wide way, but if you take your time and think about it note per note or slice the things, yes, you can find some new different track, a lot of them I wanted to say. Okay, as I will bounce first the Kete lead alone, as it is longer. And that way, all the new tempo informations and the new scale information will be printed, okay? And I will not be obliged to set everything in warp mode again, because this is now the new track. And let's write it down also at 73 BPM. So this is how you will go, the order of the action you will go to have a new track on a new scale, a new tempo, but without Ableton taking too much resources by stretching it in real time. Okay? That way we can open more things, and we love open things like synth or effects or whatever. So let's boom that. Okay, and I will set just for a while the Kete aside and select all of the track and bounce them. So as is in this new bounce, I've got also the drum roll intro. Okay, and we can see also that everything set back to default beat warp mode. Okay, but as they are, how I can see, they are consolidated. All the files are consolidated. As long as I change nothing in this, there's no action of the algorithm. Okay, meaning I could select everything and even switch off the warp if I want. It would be the same. So this is the way, and the most when you have several tracks on the same page, this is how you will logically reduce the CPU consumption for stretching. Okay, so as in my original pack, now we are with the 16 bar, something like that. Yeah, we are with the 16 bar loop here. So I select the loop of that line, select loop above, select whole tracks, and then I mute them and reactivate them. So I have my loop in the middle. I have the intro drum roll before that, and after that I have the tail of everyone. Okay, I don't hear my cymbal. Okay. So now I have this. I will send the tail far away at the end of the track. So let's take. Yes, that's it. My tail will be here. Okay. And now I can duplicate the 16 bar loop and do my structure a bit later. Let's do this clean. So for the drum and bass, we can take that loop on bar. Okay. And for the skank section, as I did earlier, we'll do a bit differently. So for organ, we can take the same also. 16 bar. And for the piano and the skank, we will go to the 8th note. That way we keep that tail. Okay. Eighth note here. The guitar and the pads. And here we are with the new track. Of course, it is not arranged yet. We could add melodies, we can add whatever thing we want in it, but this is a new track. Built in far less time than is if you had to start up something again. So this variation is close to the original, but it's for you to get the idea. Meaning that what I did in restructuration, you can do this even directly in the drums and go inside and reloop some part of the hi-hats differently, or reloop some part of the kick differently, or add some other kicks simply like that. If we want to do that, for example. This could be an idea to change the drum. Okay, you get the idea. Even the hi-hats, I could take only this part, bring it at the beginning. I will cut all the melodies, that way you hear better. Okay, so the original hi-hat was that. And if I change it with my loops, so I lost the thing. I will duplicate it again. So you see how in seconds you can literally transform the original pattern. And the move I'm showing here are really like beginner's move. The more you are experienced, and the more you can go deeper and deeper in this. So yes, even if these are loop for starting track, obviously you will need the musical vision and knowing how to count the tempo, where are the strong, how I can see. Yes, in a 4-bar measure, you have one strong note, 1 weak, one half strong, 1 weak, with the 4 black notes you have in a bar. So all those notions, those and also others, will be needed to achieve the thing. But it will help a lot to start and be sure everything is in tune, and then study the thing and go deeper into this. Okay, because, okay, that sounds, but if you are not aware of your tempo or which loop will sound great, or does it clash with another sound or whatever, you can also do some mess if you go totally random. But if you stay organized, this sounds great. For example, we could also modify the bass even more than it is. For example, I would say I want it to repeat here. Like that. Even shorter than that. So I want that length repeating. Okay. And obviously I have to shape it a little like that. To make it sound a bit more natural. So sometimes you will have to desolidarize the notes just a little. That way you can shape each of the notes you duplicated. Okay. A little clip here. Yes, obviously. Okay, when that one is ready, let's say this is the right way. We want it like that. You do the same on the mid bass. Here and here. Okay, this is the same note I will repeat. And a little fade. So really with all the tracks, you can go really far. Also, if you are aware of the scale you are in, here we are in G sharp minor. So you can set the scale awareness to G sharp minor. And you can also pitch individual notes to other notes while keeping into the scale. So you will use the tuner to help you to be sure to be in tune. Can take the same. Okay, I could go deeper, but I will stay here. Now we have a new start for our bass. And I want to repeat this new version 1 or 2 times. I forget something. This is like that. Okay. And the last one, and this will be our new bass line. Okay, just double check the little clips here and there. I forgot to remove this earlier. Here again. So these are small detail. I should have done it better earlier, but this is important. You know, you remove clicks and everything before bouncing what will be your main loop. And the last one here. Should be good now. And I take all this from there and I will loop it, consolidate it. And here is the new bass. I forgot to do the same on the mute guitar, but you can think about doing the same thing with the mute guitar. Simply by duplicate it. Keep the length of the last one, and you can shorten each of the other just a little. It will be less robotic. You don't have to be precise. The thing is to have a different release time for each of this. We can also add something like that. Too early. Too early still. No, this is the right place, but artificial, yes. And I drop a little its level also. And I can shorten it also. And same way, duplicate all this 3 times. 1, 2. Let's listen. And we have our new guitar mute loop. Okay, so I set this as a loop for my guitar. And I will do the same for the bass. So I'm showing you example on small portions and small patterns of 2 bars or 4 bars. But yes, you can apply this technique on more longer bar with more variation. Really, you're free to launch anything with that. And with some other 10-minute move, we bring this track on another world. Come again. Definitely good hi-hat loops. So here I'm completing those part of the hi-hats, and I leave some pieces like that open hat here. So for example, where I have this open hat, I have also to copy paste the first part of the little chop to keep the same groove. Yeah. Okay, a new open hi-hat. And the last one here. I mean, even me, while programming, I would not think about making a hi-hat like that. But after I made a track, I can reloop this first well-done track and get something new. Okay, so the hi-hat seems okay. I will also bounce it as a new hi-hat entity. Control G, consolidate. Okay, I loop it. Double check 16 bar loop. Right. And that's it. So I can take a little minute to change the kick drum also. So it would make to follow the bass toop, tap to toop toop instead of what we have here. Here we have toop, tack, toop, toop. Let's cut the hi-hat. Let's cut everything. That way you will hear what I want to modify. Okay, this is in place, and let's just the bass and the kick. Okay. Listen. Precise kete. Why am I hearing that kete? Because I set it below. Okay. So we will just add boom, pa, boom, boom. Just a first test. Let's open the snare also. Yes. So we can reduce slightly its level, just 1 or 2 dB to make it different. Not that one. I'm close. Okay. Same here. Totally same here. And I will loop that. So from here, make a little change. Why not? That one. Why not go full? Remove that one. And add something in between here. A little less gain for just that hit. Try to remove some of this. Why not go crazy? Leave that one and remove that one. Okay, this will be a bit special, but leave it like that. So this is the new kick loop. Consolidate. And now I set it to loop. And I know there is a break here, so I will have to stop the kick. So let's hear with the wool drum. So I can still go till here. Yes, crazy, very useful. And we have our new kick part with several level, a new vibe, a new groove in it. So let's double check 16 bar loop. That's it. I can now loop it. Of course, we could do the same with the snare, but it's already pretty different from this, the original, to that one. So I think that's it. I cover a different way to modify or uplift or change or recompose. I didn't get a lot into the MIDI part, but I can open them quickly. Everyone knows MIDI. If you want more than this audio and process and dub, you will take the MIDI tracks and set some new instruments. Let me set current project, ReggaeDub 1 MIDI. I already have the drum here, so I take everything but the drum. So you can open your MIDI into some empty MIDI tracks and then bring your instruments, your new instruments in it. So as this can be a very long topic, I think I'll talk about why not making the rhythm sounding with totally different sounds in another episode later. I'll leave you some weeks to experiment. Already, as you saw tonight, I just take one of the 9 tracks and I demonstrate you how you can go in the easy way or more complex way to bring and compose some new instrumentation from those TrackPack sources. Yes, I forgot this. So from those TrackPack sources, what I could add before I close this, 3 hours 45 soon. So yeah, and play. And this can be a good way to play and add your own personality in it. So that's all. I think I'm log off. Send me some question in comments. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Go to the Patreon. There's a lot of content, free content and reward content in it. And yes, share the news. Thanks. Share the video, share everything. And give thanks for the followers.